It was just a regular day at Lincoln Middle School. All the children were having fun on the playground until Blessy disrupted the tranquility of the playground when she snatched the ball that Thunga and Hershey were playing catch with. Everyone was confused and a little annoyed with Blessy, but Hershey encouraged Thungam to let it go. Blessy soon returned, however, scaring everyone and scattering them away. Elizabeth and Ania joined Blessy to tease Thungam a little bit. But as the taunting became violent, Elizabeth backed out, unsure if this was the right thing. Blessy and Ania, on the other hand, continued to relentlessly bully Thungam. Hershey would not help, in fear of being bullied as well, while Malika did not care what happened to Thungam. But Elizabeth soon had an idea to help Thungam fight the bully. She convinced Hershey and Malika, who were hesitant to help at first, to build up Thungam's courage and help her overcome her fear of the bullies. Together, as a strengthened, united group, everyone defended Thungam to scare the bullies away. Together, they overpowered the bullies and gloated over their victory. As payback, they ended up bullying Blessy and Ania. Thungam soon realized that bullying the bullies made them just as bad, and she reached out to reconcile their friendship. In the end, Blessy and Thungam, as well as all the other friends, put their differences aside and became friends, forming an unbreakable circle of trust.
As a group, we enjoy being able to express the topic of bullying. Unfortunately, this issue is still relevant today in many schools, and many people in our audience can relate to it. Because of that, we are happy to promote the awareness of bullying.
Some of us had some personal experience that we were able to share with this, and that is how we actually came up with the dance. There was a lot of student input in this, and therefore it kind of made it extra relatable for each and every person out there. There's kind of a way that you can relate, whether it's playing on the playground or actually getting bullied or being the bully or being afraid.
Personally, this was a really different and unique experience for me because being a trained Western dancer, I was able to use my Western dance technique to enhance my performance as a Bharatanatyam dancer in this contemporary piece.
And as a Bharatanatyam dancer, I had the unique experience of infusing Bharatanatyam into a contemporary piece, which I haven't really done before.
This whole experience is a really big privilege, and I especially loved the live instruments because they emphasized all the important beats, and I have that beat stuck in my head for a long time, unfortunately.
Raga Labs has given us a great opportunity to work with a global selection of instruments compared to what we're usually used to, which is just pure Indian classical instruments, and we want to say a big thank you to them for giving us such opportunity.
So Mehter means Turkish soldier, and Mehterji is the Indian way of referring to a soldier with respect and regard. So that's how this piece was coined the name Mehterji. There's a very interesting story that research has indicated and stated for the origin of the scale that has formed the basis for Mehterji, which is a very popular scale in both North Indian or Hindustani style of Indian classical music, which is called Bhairav, and a very popular scale called Maya Malawa Gowla, which is the same scale in the South Indian or Carnatic style of Indian classical music. So the story is that this scale, sa re ga ma pa da ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa, without any ornamentation or gamakas, originated in Turkey. The story goes like the Byzantines fought many wars with the Romans, and the leaders of the Byzantine Empire thought that it gave them an advantage to fight at night. And while that was a great idea, the problem they ran into was that the soldiers were sleepy and lethargic at night. So they needed a scale that would form the basis of military music, Turkish military music, that would keep the soldiers energized and awake at night. So they experimented and they came across the scale and they realized that the scale actually does the job. So that's why a lot of the Turkish military music is based on this scale, which later became Bhairav in North Indian classical music and Maya Malawa Gowla in Carnatic or South Indian classical music.
Well, I usually play mridangam, not kanjira, so this was a fun opportunity for me to try something new. And it was also a cool way to realize how any beats that I've learned or any sort of percussion knowledge that I have can be applied to any sort of music or any style of music.
Well, Indian classical songs, they're sometimes not that fast-paced, so you have to play a slow rhythm, but it's going all throughout. But this was really fast-paced and a lot of switching, so.
This was very different from the usual things I'm used to playing, and for example, it had less gumagum and it was more straightforward, which made it more energetic. So I really like this piece and its different variations from the usual things I play.
It's a anti-bullying song, and it was different for me because I played with the tabla and ganjira, which I normally don't play.
So it's the first time I played a Turkish Indian classical music, because usually when I play drum set, I usually go on jazz and rock and roll music. So this was a pretty interesting experience of playing along with ganjira, tabla, violin, and flute. And the recording was I liked it because it just, I don't know how to say this, but it felt good when I played it, with headphones, and was professional. And it's kind of nice how they put Turkish Indian classical music and combined it with the theme of anti-bullying.